Dear students, today we will discuss phase equilibria. Uh, we will be having discussion on what are the basic terminology used for phase equilibria, what is phase rule, and then its application to one component system. The phase equilibria is that we know that there is an occurrence of solid, liquid, or vapor phases in different aspects of physical chemistry. And if we take, for example, the case of water, we say that ice is the form of solid water, then liquid water, and if we heat this liquid water above 100 degrees centigrade, it changes into vapor phase. So, at different temperature and pressure, there are phase transitions where the one form of phase of one entity changes into another form, and this is called as phase. Now, a solid changes into liquid. If we take the case of water, we call it as melting of ice. So, when ice melts, it changes into a liquid. Then a liquid changes into vapor, vaporization of water. If we heat water beyond 100 degrees centigrade, it changes into steam, that is the vapor phase of water. Then a solid phase changes into another solid phase. Say graphite changes into diamond, both are types of solid phases of carbon. So the phase changes, they are not only important in terms of chemistry, but geologically also they are very important. For example, calcium carbonate we know is typically deposited as aragonite, but then with passage of time it changes into another crystalline form, that is calcite. And both of these calcite and aragonite, they are different forms of calcium carbonate, and they are formed due to phase changes in the same solid phase of the material. Then some terms which we will be using in the phase equilibria. First is the system. System is part of the universe which is under consideration. So what does this mean? Means suppose we are having a beaker which contains salt and water. So we are interested in this system which is comprising of salt and water, and that means salt and water is our system, and that salt and water is contained in a beaker. So beaker containing salt and water is our system, and this system may be of different types. First is isolated system. System is called as isolated if it cannot exchange mass or energy with its surroundings. So for example, if the above beaker which we are having, uh, we put a lid on this beaker, so that there is no possibility of evaporation, that is water vapors, they cannot be uh, evaporated from the beaker and goes out. So this type of system where it is thermally insulated, so that there is no effect of heating or cooling also. So such type of system will be called as isolated system. So this system cannot exchange mass, that is uh, evaporation has been prevented, that means mass will remain constant. Then it has been isolated by insulating it thermally, so that there is no effect of heat or cooling, that means there will be no change in energy of the system. So such type of systems, they are called as isolated system. Then second category is closed systems. Closed system are those systems where energy can be exchanged but mass cannot be transferred. So the above beaker which we have used will still be there. Will be having a lid, but the thermal insulator which we have used, that will be removed. So if the system is having lid but is not insulated, then that type of system will become closed system, because this cannot exchange mass, but it can exchange energy, because this is not isolated system. So this is the difference between isolated system and closed system. Then is open system. Open system is if it can exchange both mass and energy with its surroundings, then that system is called as open system. So if that lid is also removed from the beaker and it is not even ice insulated, then that system will become an open system, because the water will be evaporated. That means there will be change in mass of the contents contained in the beaker, that is salt and water, and because there is no insulation, there will be change in temperature and pressure also. So that means both mass and energy, they will vary with time, and that means such a system will be called as an open system. Then is homogeneous system. Uh, if a system is consisting of only one phase, then it is called as homogeneous system. So we know, for example, air. Air is a mixture of many gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water vapor. But this is a single phase system. And because it is a single phase system, that means it is a homogeneous system. So all the components, they are present in the same phase, that is all are gases, so only one phase, that is why this is called as homogeneous system. Then heterogeneous system is if there are more than one phases in the system, we call this as heterogeneous system. For example, decomposition of calcium carbonate, we know that calcium carbonate dissociates to give us calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. And calcium oxide is a solid, carbon dioxide is a gas. So that means there are more than one phases present. Calcium carbonate is also solid, calcium oxide is also solid, but the carbon dioxide is gas. So they are in equilibrium, all these three. So that is why the system consisting of calcium carbonate, calcium oxide, and carbon dioxide will be a heterogeneous system. Then is term phase. Term phase is derived from Greek word phasis, which has three meanings: appearance, assertion, or acquisition. But here, in the present case, the meaning is appearance, and appearance refers to matter which appear in a homogeneous form. So phase is a homogeneous form of matter. So this can be defined as any homogeneous and physically separable part of the system which is separated from other parts of the system by well distinct physical boundaries and is mechanically separable from other parts of the system. So we will take the same example of salt water system. So when we are having an excess of water in the beaker and small amount of salt, we know the salt is soluble in water, and that means we will be having sodium chloride solution. That means both sodium chloride and water, they will be in the one phase only. sodium chloride water solution. But if the quantity of salt is increased till there is some solid salt present in water, that means now the sodium chloride water solution, and there will be salt crystals also. So liquid phase also, solid phase also. So that means here now we will be having two phases. So now our system have two phases, but it was the same thing. Salt water system, this is also water system. What we have done is we have changed the concentration of the salt. So as the concentration increases, and when there are some solid sodium chloride present in the salt solution, then there will be two phases in the system. And if we heat this system, sodium chloride water system, then water will be removed, and as the water goes out, that means there will be one more phase, gaseous phase, which is mostly of water vapors. So then we will have three phases in equilibrium. One is water phase, other is solid sodium chloride salt crystals, and then third is sodium chloride water solution. So now the same system will have three phases. So that means depending upon the system, it can have either one phase, two phase, three phase. So this is how we can define phase of a system. Then another example of phase is water system, where we know solid phase is ice, then liquid, then water vapor, but they coexist. So all these each of these form constitute a different phase, and each phase is separated from other phase by a phase boundary, which is known as interphase. So that at a particular temperature and pressure, one phase will change into other phase, and that point is your phase boundary or interface. The term mechanically separable, which we have used in the definition, means that one phase can be separated from the other phase by some process like filtration, crystallization, or decantation. So we know that solid ice can be separated from liquid, and liquid can be separated from water vapors, and that is the mechanically separable phase. Then is components. The number of components in a system at equilibrium, they are defined as minimum number of independently variable constituents in terms of the composition of each phase can be expressed by means of a chemical equation is called as component. Now, if we take the example of water system, as you know that it has three phases, that is solid phase is ice, liquid water, and water vapors. But the composition of each of this phase can be expressed in terms of single component, and that is water. So water is a single component system. Similarly, if we take the example of sulfur system, it has four phases: sulfur rhombic, sulfur monoclinic, sulfur liquid, and sulfur vapors. But here also the composition of each of these phases can be expressed in terms of only one component, that is sulfur. And that is why sulfur is also a one component system. Then is a very important term, degree of freedom or variance. Degree of freedom is defined as the smallest number of independent variables such as temperature, pressure, and concentration, which can be changed without altering the number of phases present in the system. So number of phases in the system will remain same, and we will change these independent variables, either temperature or pressure or concentration. So this is called as degree of freedom or variance. So for example, if we are having a system, a gas enclosed in a cylinder provided with a movable piston. So if we are having only one gas, that means this is a single phase system. And to completely describe that system, we need to know the temperature and pressure. And if we know these two independent variables, this we can know because there is a equation of state. By knowing the two of these, we can know the value of the third. So the system is said to be bivariant. That means this is dependent on these two independent variables, temperature and pressure. If you change these, this will change. And the system is said to be bivariant. That degree of freedom of such system is called as 2. Any system which is bivariant, that means its degree of freedom is 2. If it is monovariant, the degree of freedom will be 1. Then is equilibrium. A system is said to be in equilibrium if properties like composition, temperature of the various phases do not undergo any change with time. So time has no effect on the change in any of the property like composition and temperature, then that system will be called as at equilibrium. And these equilibria, they are of two types. One is true equilibria and other is metastable equilibrium. A system is said to be in state of true equilibrium if the same state can be achieved by approach from either direction of the equilibrium. So equilibria is, say A is in equilibrium with B. We can go from A to B and B to A equally. That is called as true equilibrium. So, or for example, melting of ice or partial freezing of water, that can be achieved at 0 degree centigrade and at 1 atmospheric pressure. This is called as true equilibrium because we can melt the ice at this temperature and pressure, or we can freeze water at this temperature and pressure. Both the equilibria, they can be achieved under these conditions. That is called as true equilibrium because this can be achieved from either direction. And metastable equilibrium is that if a state can be achieved only from one direction, and that too under careful change of conditions. So and such an equilibrium will be called as metastable equilibrium. And example of such type of equilibrium is that it is possible to have liquid water at minus 3 degrees centigrade. We have said that at 0 degree centigrade water will freeze, but under careful cooling of liquid water, it we can have liquid water at minus 3 degrees centigrade, but we cannot melt an ice at minus 3 degrees centigrade, right? So that means this equilibrium, that is liquid water at minus 3 degrees centigrade, can only be achieved from one side, that is cooling of liquid water. That is why this is called as metastable equilibrium. The next is Gibbs phase rule. Uh, this rule is an important tool for the analysis of different types of systems for which the phase diagrams we will be studying in the later slides. And those can be a one component system, two component system, or three component systems. And all these systems, they are governed by this rule which is known as Gibbs phase rule. And this rule is an expression of the number of variables and equations that can be used to describe a system in equilibrium. So the mathematical expression for this Gibbs rule is F is equal to C plus 2 minus P, where F is your variance or degree of freedom, C is the number of component in the system, and P is the number of phases in equilibrium. And this 2 comes from the extensive variables like temperature and pressure. So on the basis of this equation, we can calculate that if we know the value of any of these two, either if we know the value of this and this, we can calculate the number of phases. If we know the value of this and this, we can calculate the degree of freedom. If we know degree of freedom and number of phases, we can calculate the number of components of that system. So based on Gibbs phase rule, we can analyze different types of systems like one component system or two component system or more component system. And this degree of freedom of any system can be calculated from total number of variables minus number of variables when system is in equilibrium. So total number of variables is when system is not in equilibrium. So this is how we can calculate the degree of freedom of that system. Uh, then one component system we will study first. One component system means the value of C is equal to 1 for the Gibbs phase rule. So we substitute the value of C by 1. That means 2 plus 1, 3 minus P. So value of degree of freedom is uh, equal to 3 minus P. That means if P is 1, that means number of phases is 1. That means degree of freedom will be 3 minus 1, 2. So this is how we can calculate the degree of freedom from this equation. Number of phases is 1, degree of freedom will be 2 as per this equation for one component system where value of C is 1. So that means if number of phases is 1, degree of freedom is 2, then system will be bivariant. That will be completely defined by specifying two variables, that is temperature and pressure. So any system which is having one phase, one component, that can be defined completely by temperature and pressure only. If number of phases are 2, substitute the value 2 here, that means 3 minus 2, degree of freedom will be 1. Degree of freedom is 1. That means the system will be monovariant. So that means we need to define only one variable, either temperature or pressure. So based on that, we can completely define the system, either by defining the temperature or by defining the pressure. Similarly, if number of phases are 3, then substitute P is equal to 3, that means F will be equal to 0, 3 minus 3, degree of freedom is 0. That means the system will be invariant. That means that condition can only be established at a definite temperature and pressure. There will be invariant system where three phases coexist. Then there you will have a definite value of temperature and pressure. If you change that value to any extent, then the system will not remain invariant. That is, degree of freedom will not remain zero if you change that value. That means temperature and pressure will have a fixed value at the system where degree of freedom is zero, and such a point is called as triple point. So triple point is where degree of freedom of the system is zero, and that system will have a definite value of temperature and pressure. Then is if number of phases in one component system is 4, substitute the value 4, this comes out to be -1, and degree of freedom cannot have a negative value. If this is a negative value, that means those phases cannot exist. So because here the degree of freedom value is -1, so 4 phases they cannot exist in one component system. In one component system, the maximum number of phases possible will be 3 at a given point. So degree of freedom cannot have a negative value. So first we will take the example of water system. As you know that water exists in 3 possible phases: at room temperature and atmospheric pressure, water is a liquid. But as we cool it below 0 degree centigrade, it becomes solid, gets converted into ice. And if we raise the temperature above 100 degree centigrade, then it becomes a gas in the form of steam or vapor phase. Now, each line in the phase diagram represents a phase boundary and gives the conditions when two phases coexist. That is, whether solid and liquid phase exist, whether liquid and gas phase exist, or gas and solid phase exist. So this is represented by a phase boundary at a given conditions of temperature and pressure. And where three lines joins, that the three phases they coexist, as I have told you, that point is called as triple point, and here the system at this point is invariant. Degree of freedom will be 0. So three phases they will coexist at this point, which will be known as triple point. And then in water system diagram there is a critical point, and at this point the properties of two phases they will become indistinguishable from each other. You cannot have a difference in the properties of the two phases at this point. That is called as critical point. So these are the different types of equilibria which are present in the water system. First is liquid vapor equilibrium, then solid vapor equilibrium. Liquid means liquid water, vapor means water vapor. Solid means ice and water vapors, ice and liquid water, ice and liquid and vapor. So where the three phases they coexist, that is called as the triple point. So these are the different phase equilibria which are present in the water system. So this is the phase diagram for water, and in this phase diagram we will have phase curves, phase areas, triple point and critical point. So we will discuss these one by one. First is phase curves, there are three phase curves. One is this one, AO phase curve, then is OB phase curve, and third is OC phase curve. And these three phase curves, they differentiate this phase diagram into three areas. One is this one, second is this one, and other is this one. One is below A, O, and B, that is the area where water exists as vapor. Then this area AOC, in between this, water will exist as liquid vapor. Then this COB, in this area water will exist as a solid, that is ice. So these are the phase boundaries which differentiate different phases: solid, liquid, vapor. And as is written over here, that these curves divide the diagram into three areas, which will tell us that the area will tell us that here water is existing as solid, here water is existing as liquid, here the water is existing as vapor. Then there is one more curve, OB dash. This is the metastable equilibrium between liquid water. This is the liquid water and solid water vapors over here, solid over here. So this is the metastable equilibrium. This can be achieved from one direction only, not from B dash to O. This cannot be achieved. This can be achieved from O to B dash O. We can have liquid water at -3 degrees centigrade. That is the metastable equilibrium. Then these are the different curves which are present in the water system, the phase curves. First curve is vapor pressure curve of water, which is OA. This is OA. This curve is called as vapor pressure curve of water. And here in this curve, liquid water is in equilibrium with water vapors. So these two phases are in equilibrium, you can see over here. So one above this will be liquid water, below this will be vapor water. So at any given temperature, there is only one pressure at which water vapor is in equilibrium with liquid. So you can see over here, say, so at 100 degrees centigrade, this water vapor is in equilibrium with liquid vapor and pressure will be 1 atmosphere. So this curve is called as vapor pressure curve of water. Then second is sublimation curve of ice or vapor pressure curve of ice, that is OB. This is OP. This is vapor phase, this is solid phase. So ice is in equilibrium with vapor. This is sublimation. So sublimation means that solid is directly converted into vapor without changing into the liquid state. That is called as sublimation. When solid state directly changes into vapor state without being changed into liquid state. So that is why this curve is called as sublimation curve of ice or vapor pressure curve of ice, because this will change into vapors. So at this, the point B of the curve extends to absolute zero. This is absolute zero, 273. Temperature is to 0 degree. Then third is the fusion curve of ice, that is OC. This is OC. This is called as fusion curve of ice. And here the liquid water is in equilibrium with ice. ice is in equilibrium with liquid water. That is fusion curve of ice. And it shows the variation of melting temperature of ice, that at any point on this curve the ice will melt into liquid water. So that will be shown on this curve, or freezing temperature of water with pressure. So that can be calculated, and we can see that at a pressure of 4.58 mm and at this temperature 0.0075 degree, then we can have these phases in equilibrium, that is solid ice and liquid phase. But if it is reduced to 0 at 1 atmosphere, then the solid and liquid phase, they are in equilibrium. Then next is the metastable curve OB dash, which I have told you that here the liquid water is in equilibrium with the vapor phase. So here the liquid water and water vapors, they are in metastable equilibrium, and it can be achieved from only one side. So uh, we can cool liquid water below their freezing point, that is -3 degree centigrade, and that will be called as metastable equilibrium. Then two things left: triple point and critical point. This O is the triple point where the three curves OC, AO and BO, they meet. This point is called as the triple point. So you can see that where the three phases, that is solid, liquid and vapor phase, coexist in equilibrium, that point is called as triple point. And as I have told you that at triple point there will be a specific temperature and pressure, and if any of these is changed from this value, then those three uh, phases, they cannot coexist. These three phases, they can coexist together only at triple point. That is where the pressure is 4.58 mm and temperature is 0.0075 degree. That point is called as the triple point. So here, all at this point, all the three phases, liquid, solid and vapor, they are present. If you just change the value towards this side, right, you increase the pressure, then only two phases will be present, not the third one. So if we change from here to here, what will happen? We will have only solid and the liquid phase. No vapor phase will be present if we move towards this direction. If we move towards this direction, we will have only liquid and vapor phase, not the solid phase. If from here we move towards this direction, then we will have only solid and vapor phase, no liquid phase. So the three phases can be found only at this point, which is called as triple point. Then is critical point. Critical point is this one, A, where pressure is 218 atmosphere and temperature is 374 degrees centigrade. So this temperature is called as critical temperature and this pressure is called as critical pressure. And if you increase pressure at a temperature lower than the critical temperature, this will eventually cross the liquid vapor equilibrium and the vapor will condense to give us a liquid. So beyond this point, you cannot say that, you cannot distinguish between liquid water and vapor water. So above critical temperature, it is possible to condense a gas into liquid just by increasing the pressure. So beyond this point, there will be no effect of pressure on this. And because of that, this is called as the critical pressure, and this is called as the critical temperature. And this point is known as critical point. The next is carbon dioxide system. Carbon dioxide system is same as water system, except you have seen that the slope of OC curve. In case of water, it was like this. Here it is like this. It goes to this direction. All other things, they are same except the values of critical temperature, critical pressure, then triple point values. Those are different. Values are different, but technically the phase diagram is same as that of water. And here in case of carbon dioxide system, triple point is well above the atmospheric pressure, and the value at triple point, that is 52 atmosphere, and temperature is minus 56.4 degrees centigrade. And at 1 atmospheric pressure, carbon dioxide will exist as here temperature will be minus 78.5 degrees centigrade. So that means carbon dioxide at this temperature will sublime, that is solid will change into vapor directly without being changed into liquid. So that is why at 1 atmospheric pressure and this temperature, carbon dioxide is called as dry ice, because sublimation of carbon dioxide will take place at 1 atmospheric pressure and this temperature. Solid carbon dioxide will directly change into gas carbon dioxide without being converted into liquid carbon dioxide. So that is why at this temperature and pressure, this carbon dioxide is called as dry ice. So these are the various phase curves like water, AO, OB and OC. Same are the names: vapor pressure curve, sublimation curve, fusion curve. And these are the equilibria: liquid carbon dioxide and gaseous carbon dioxide, solid carbon dioxide and gaseous carbon dioxide, solid carbon dioxide and liquid carbon dioxide. So here one more difference is there is no metastable equilibrium in case of carbon dioxide system. So here also, by knowing the two variables temperature and pressure, we can know the value of on each curve. Say OA, this is the vapor pressure curve. At any point, at say this point, there will be a definite value of temperature and definite value of pressure, below which or above which the liquid will change into gas or gas will change into liquid. So variation of pressure or temperature will change the equilibria from liquid to gas or gas to liquid on this curve. Similarly, OB curve, there will be a equilibrium between solid carbon dioxide and gaseous carbon dioxide. So by changing the value of temperature and pressure, we can directly change solid into vapor or vapor into sublimation. That is why sublimation. Then fusion curve, equilibrium between solid and the liquid carbon dioxide. So by changing the value of temperature and pressure, we can change from solid to liquid or liquid to solid. Then is a comparison between water and carbon dioxide system. As I have told you, only slope of OC curve is different. Then triple point of carbon dioxide occurs at 5.2 atmospheric pressure and temperature is minus 56.4 degrees centigrade. And as I have told you that at minus 78.5 temperature and 1 atmospheric pressure, the solid carbon dioxide exists, and that is why the carbon dioxide is at this temperature and pressure is called as dry ice. So thus solid carbon dioxide is called as dry ice. Then is critical temperature for carbon dioxide is 31.1 degree centigrade and critical pressure is 73 atmospheric pressure. And above the critical temperature, this carbon dioxide is called as supercritical fluid. So above this temperature and pressure, this carbon dioxide will be called as supercritical carbon dioxide or supercritical fluid. And these are the values for water. You have already noted the triple point and critical point, that is 374 is the critical temperature and 218 is the critical pressure, and these are the values for carbon dioxide. The next is sulfur system. Sulfur system is also a one component system, and in the sulfur system there are four phases, and these four phases, they are rhombic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur, sulfur vapors and sulfur liquid. And you can see that there are four different phases. That means there is an existence of polymorphism in one component system. Polymorphism is the phenomenon in which the same chemical substance exists in two or more different crystalline forms. And in case of elements, this phenomenon is called as allotropy. So as you can see over here, that sulfur is existing as sulfur rhombic and sulfur monoclinic, and these are the two known crystalline forms of sulfur, and these two forms, they are in equilibrium with each other at 95.5 degrees centigrade, and this temperature is called as transition temperature, that is below which or above which we can change the two allotropic forms of sulfur, and this is called as transition temperature, and this is defined as the temperature at which the lower temperature stable form of a solid is transformed into a high temperature stable form without any change in temperature at 1 atmospheric pressure. So here the pressure will be constant, 1 atmospheric pressure, and rhombic sulfur is stable below this temperature, whereas monoclinic is stable above this temperature. So if we will increase the temperature above this, then there will be existence of only monoclinic form of the sulfur. If this is cooled below this temperature, then only rhombic sulfur will be present. Monoclinic sulfur will not be present. So number of phases that can exist in equilibrium at any time, depends on Gibbs phase rule, and from this equation we can very much calculate the value of either F or C or P. And because the sulfur is a single component system or one component system, that means value of C here is 1. So if we substitute the value of C as 1, that means the value of P comes out to be 3. So that means the maximum number of phases which can be present at a time, that can be 3. And in the system we see that there are 4 phases. So that means in the sulfur system, these 4 phases, they cannot be present together. So at a time there is a possibility of maximum 3 phases in the sulfur system. So as I have told you, all the 4 phases, they cannot coexist in equilibrium, because then degree of freedom will become minus 1, and degree of freedom cannot be negative. So that is why these four phases, they cannot coexist. The maximum number of phases that can exist in a one component system is 3. So this is the phase diagram for sulfur. Uh, there are different phase curves. There are 6 phase curves which are present: AE, AO, OB, OC, AC, and CF. And all these, uh, they are in equilibrium with one or the other phase. So EAC means liquid sulfur is in equilibrium with monoclinic sulfur, and this is the where transition curve where monoclinic sulfur and rhombic sulfur, they are in equilibrium with each other. So we will explain the different curves. As I have told you, there are 6 stable curves. First is curve OB. This is called as sublimation curve of rhombic sulfur. This is OB. Here sulfur rhombic, this is sulfur rhombic, is in equilibrium with sulfur paper. Sulfur rhombic is in equilibrium with sulfur paper. So this starts from point O, and the transition temperature of the sulfur rhombic, I have told you, is 95.5, that is point O. And beyond this, we will not have sulfur rhombic, but we will have monoclinic sulfur, right? Below that, we will have rhombic sulfur. So this temperature is called as transition temperature. And at point B, that is at 50 degree centigrade, uh, beyond this we cannot measure the vapor pressure of rhombic sulfur. Then is curve OA. OA. Here the monoclinic sulfur is in equilibrium with vapor, and this is called as sublimation curve of monoclinic sulfur. Monoclinic sulfur is in equilibrium with sulfur vapors. These are sulfur vapors, and above this is monoclinic sulfur. And the melting point of monoclinic sulfur is under 20 degree centigrade, and this starts from A and ends at O. So O is, as I have told you, 95.5, and A is under 20 degree centigrade. Beyond 120 degree centigrade, we will have liquid sulfur and vapor sulfur equilibrium, right? Then is curve AE. So that is A to E. There is an equilibrium between liquid sulfur and vapor sulfur. Liquid sulfur and vapor sulfur. And E is the critical point beyond which we cannot distinguish between liquid sulfur and vapor. All two phases, they are indistinguishable beyond the critical point, that is critical temperature and critical pressure. Beyond that, we cannot distinguish between the two phases, that is liquid sulfur and vapor sulfur. Then next is curve OC. OC. This is equilibrium between rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur. So this O, as I have told you, 95.5, and then C here temperature is 155 degree centigrade, and pressure is 1290 atmosphere. And the slope of curve OC is away from the vertical pressure axis, indicating that transition point is raised by rise of temperature. Transition point, that is 95.5 degree, that will increase as we increase the pressure. And this curve ends at point O. At this point, monoclinic sulfur will disappear. All beyond this, below this, we will have only rhombic sulfur. Then is curve AC, that is melting point curve of monoclinic sulfur. That is this one, AC. A is 120 degree. Beyond this, we will have liquid, and uh, by decreasing the pressure, decreasing the temperature, we will have rhombic sulfur. So here we will have monoclinic sulfur and liquid sulfur equilibrium at A and C. So this will give us effect of pressure on melting point of monoclinic sulfur. Then is curve CD. So this is your curve C and this is curve D. This is metastable melting point curve of rhombic sulfur. So this is that equilibrium will be between rhombic sulfur and liquid sulfur. And the temperature and pressure at point C, I have told you, 1290 atmosphere and 155 degrees centigrade. And if liquid sulfur was cooled at a pressure higher than this, so if we cool the liquid sulfur above this pressure, then rhombic sulfur will crystallize out at once and no monoclinic sulfur will be. So liquid sulfur will be directly from C to F, it will directly get converted into rhombic sulfur without being converted into monoclinic sulfur. So liquid will be directly being converted into another crystalline form, that is rhombic sulfur. Otherwise, liquid sulfur has to first get converted into monoclinic sulfur. Then monoclinic sulfur will get converted into rhombic sulfur. But if you are having pressure beyond 1290, then liquid sulfur will directly get converted into rhombic sulfur. Then the different phase areas, there are four areas: BOCF, this is BOCF, this area is of rhombic sulfur. Then BOAE, BOAE, so above this we will have liquid sulfur, monoclinic sulfur, rhombic sulfur. Below this we have only vapor sulfur. Then is FCAE, that is FCAE. So in this area we will have only monoclinic sulfur and liquid sulfur, and beyond C to F we can have rhombic sulfur above 1290. Then OCA, OCA. So within this area there is a transition between rhombic sulfur and monoclinic. So this is how these four areas they differentiate between different types of equilibrium. Then triple points, phase diagram of sulfur has three triple points: O, A and C. O, A and C. At O we will have rhombic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur and vapor sulfur. Rhombic sulfur, monoclinic and vapor sulfur. These three phases they will coexist. And we slightly change the temperature and pressure along any of these three lines, then one of the phase will disappear. So these three phases can coexist only at these triple points O, A and C. At O you will have SR, SM and SV. R is rhombic, M is monoclinic, V is vapor. Similarly at point A we will have vapor, monoclinic and liquid. This is liquid, this is monoclinic, this is vapor. So as at these 3 points we will have, at A we will have these three phases, they will coexist. Whereas at point C we will have rhombic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur and liquid sulfur. So at point C, rhombic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur and liquid sulfur, they will coexist at point C. You just change the value of temperature and pressure at this point, then one of the phase will disappear out of the three. So that is what known as triple point, where three phases they coexist but the degree of freedom is 0. So this is the book which has been used for preparing this lecture, Chemistry for Engineers by Harish Chopra and Anupama Parmar. And this was the first part of the lecture on phase equilibria. In the second lecture, we will discuss about the two component systems. Thank you very much.